Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Family Show, the very awesome Family Show, Season 2, Episode 31. And today with me, I have some guests that are been hanging around for a while, and I'm excited to talk to them. Traveling Salvation, Ben and Rebecca here, and uh, we're gonna hear talk about your YouTube channel. And I kind of also wanted to know, first off, how has it been to transition to traveling all the time as a lifestyle? And then how has your friends and family adjusted to you traveling?
The family hadn't said too much, but I can see it. You can see it on their face. You know what I mean? They think you're crazy, but
Yeah.
you know, and I've adjusted fine to it. It was something I'd wanted to do for a long time. It's different, that's for sure. I mean, you go into it thinking you watch all these YouTube channels, like, man, this is a worry-free life. I'm gonna get a RV and just travel around, see the Grand Canyon and all this stuff, and it's not a trouble-free life. If anything, it's more. It's a house on wheels instead of having a house that's on a foundation. So it's moving around and like moving around vacation times where the times at camping spots are really heavily occupied. You can't find the space.
Yes.
Some of that's, I guess some of the things you deal with, but I love it. So far, I can't think of a time that I've really ever regretted it.
Right. And I was gonna ask you guys about that. It I know from my own experience, but maybe you guys will probably agree with me that you both people have to want to be on the road, and then you should start out with a pretty strong relationship before you get on the road, because there's going to be very frustrating days when you're traveling, and the jack doesn't get put away, and or you're backing up and somebody thinks you're pointing this way and you're pointing the other way. So,
That's definitely something that,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, I would say if it'd probably be a good idea for anybody that's gonna plans on getting married or being together for a long time to spend a year in an RV together. You
Yes.
know what I mean? And I
It'll
think
put you through a
yeah, if you
lot.
make it through that and you're traveling and you're working and all that and doing living, you're doing the full time thing and you make it, I guess, a year. I think you got a pretty good chance at making it in the long run. But
right,
who's to say?
right. Well, I mean, if you do that, you end up literally putting up with somebody else's crap. So, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
But when you repainted your motorhome, you guys did a beautiful job. Did you have experience painting before you attempted that?
No, painted houses and stuff like that. I've been a contractor for a handful of years before I ever went to college, but you used a house sprayer, and we did build like hot rods growing up. Not real nice ones, but we painted two cars in that time, just like just metallic gray, and that was the only experience we'd ever had. Certainly not a 40-foot motorhome. That was, with striping it out and all that. That was just something that I'd always had in my head and always wanted to do, but and when it didn't really, it's kind of surreal when you find yourself sitting there doing it, being like, man, this is one thing to think about, but this is a whole other thing sitting here doing it.
Right. And then when it's kind of cool to watch it come from something you envisioned in your head to actually becoming reality then too. That's one thing
Yeah,
when I painted stuff, I always was satisfied with it, because you get that out of any jobs like in construction. It seems like painting, you get that immediate, effect of it changing and looking better. Where
yeah,
some of the other jobs, you never really get to see that end product at
yeah.
all.
It's instant gratitude, but
Yeah.
she couldn't really see what was even
I
going on.
didn't know what it was going to end up looking like.
Yeah, so all she saw was like this splotchy, jacked up brown here, white here, decals
Right.
being peeled off. She's just like, I don't know what's going
Right.
on. But the boy got vision. I saw it happen. I saw it happen in my head.
That probably
But if you
probably
if
probably
you
took a big leap of faith then, when you're sitting there hoping that it's going to turn out right, being like, well, we'll see. He's usually all right about this kind of stuff.
Yes. He's real good with stuff like that.
And what got you into doing the reselling stuff in the first place? 'Cause I've never been good at doing eBay at all, and I can never really get into that. And so
Yeah.
I'm not gonna ask you like what are items you should look for. I'll ask you what are items that you see that are good deals in stores like that you go to like thrift stores that would be about the same online. Like you're not doing it to flip, but maybe somebody out there who's looking for an item. What's something that's good right now at thrift stores to pick up?
And the thing with thrift stores is you never know what you're going to see when you go in there. You can almost never go in and say you're going to see the things you are going to see all the time are the things that aren't worth a lot. Like, for instance, these things that you put your phone in and you look around the 3D things. Every thrift store you go in, you're going to find one or two or five of those things.
I remember those from
So,
when I was a little kid, the little 3D readers.
yeah, so you never, we really can't say what's going to be good in there at any moment. That's the cool thing about going there. You never know what you're going to find. It's really like it's a treasure hunt.
And I was thinking about it before I had you guys on, like it that it would be really difficult, but then I was thinking about no, you're shipping stuff out. So since you don't have to
Yeah.
receive stuff, it's not really that difficult to keep up with your auctions and stuff like that, and then drop it off at a post office or wherever along the
Yeah.
way.
We get returns and stuff, but we have a PO box that all of it comes back to. And we've been so far. We stay in the southeast with what we're doing right now. And we've been to 5 states and shipped. I'm going to ship from 5 states and nobody's ever said a word to us. We keep walking in the post office everywhere thinking like, man, this thing says Middle Georgia on it, man. You're in Tennessee,
Right.
and they never say anything. So we're just waiting. I figure if we go in and they say something, we'll just pay extra or whatever they want. And maybe we pay too much in some instances.
Right. So if you ever had the budget, would you do stuff like the guys on American Pickers do and like go after motorcycles and cars and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's not the budget right now is restraining us. Is we wanted to stay on the road because our ideas are kind of evolving. We started out wanting to build a house with a little camper. It changed to renovating this huge motorhome and traveling around. Then, to answer your question, we started watching YouTube videos on like how people are flipping stuff on eBay, and I've done stuff like that just as a hobby all my life, and we've done really well with it. So now, as part of that evolution, we're thinking of getting going ahead, buying a piece of land, building like a metal warehouse on it, something big enough to park the motorhome in, and being able to leave inventory there and have somebody work there and ship, and at the same time maybe build a house or something, whatever we want to do with the land. You know what I mean? We'll still be traveling and going around, but pretty much just like you said, like American Pickers, we'll be going around and bringing the stuff back. And, we have to pass up some pretty cool stuff, like you just said, because it's not because of the budget, it's because of space.
Right. Right. What's one of the ones that you kick yourself for not getting that you passed up?
You probably, I don't know if you've seen, we bought these pontoons recently, and we saw a pontoon a while back that was a really nice, expensive one that you go whitewater rafting in. It was $800 pontoon. You could have got it for $100. Saw what was it? It was some type of speaker the other day. I forget exactly what it was, and I wanted to bring it home so bad. There's a really expensive speaker. It was in this box, and any other time I would have bought it. It's $40 at the thrift store. It was a $250 setup, and we just can't bring some of that stuff in. It
too heavy and
too big.
bulky.
Yeah. That's why I was asking about the American Pickers thing, because I could totally see you guys doing that, still traveling and stuff, but just being able to do more than just what you're doing with now on eBay. Because I mean, you can sell anything on eBay. So if you're good at eBay, you don't really have to limit the items you get except for what you can haul or whatever at the time. So
we still bring in stuff sometimes. Like I bought a big pinball machine back glass a while back, and we couldn't keep it with us, so I gave it to my stepfather, and he framed it, and they put it in their pool room. And we still bring in stuff sometimes. Like I bought a big pinball machine back glass a while back, and we couldn't keep it with us, so I gave it to my stepfather, and he framed it, and they put it in their pool room. we buy golf bag, golf clubs, so we can get some stuff too big. When it gets too big, too square, and too bulky, and depending on how much we can get for it, well, that's when we got to kind of turn it down. But we've got ideas. We got ideas: diesel pushers, trailers, all kinds of stuff.
Right, right. Who when you think back on all the places that you went and got stuff from, who was like the biggest character, like that had the stories to tell you about the items or whatever, when you were there looking at them?
That's tough because most of the time you're going to find the good stores are going to be in those like roadside junk stores where
Mm-hmm.
it's got like a power wheel and a little red wagon and just a bunch of junk out there. It's always some old character in there that's got some good stories. But we had one just the other day. We had a guy talking because I bought a vintage Jimmy Carter campaign T-shirt, and he sat there and told us all about him and Jimmy Carter and Billy, his brother, and all kinds of stuff like that. So just a number of different people.
Yeah, and it's really interesting how you can kind of take little pieces that they tell you, especially as you get older, and you can kind of see parallels from your life, being like, oh, one day I'll probably have a story like that. Some, especially since you guys are in that doing that kind of business, you may run. There'll be some young couple in there one day, maybe you'd be like,
man,
oh, I remember we used to travel around the country and.
Honestly, when I walk in those places and I see them just kick back in their old chair with all the junk around them and their grandkids running around and stuff, it kind of looks like life. I'm like, man, this guy is just chilling. I mean, just chilling.
Yeah, yeah, and it's one of those things that you know it's I think it's a life that everybody could be satisfied with at the end of the road. Like if that's what you had was a store that you just kicked back in, you got to hang out with your friends, they'd come in, maybe you sold something every once in a while, who cares? But that'd be a pretty good way to wind down your days for sure.
Yeah.
Is there places that you guys want to go when you go beyond the southeast that you guys like have for sure circled on the map?
There's a lot of places.
Definitely want to go out west, and we were planning on doing that right before all this hit, and we're kind of restricted as to what we can do and feel comfortable with doing right now. Anyways, anywhere we want to go, we want to be able to have fun and do what we want to do. And some places, you just kind of have to dodge those areas right now.
Right. When you guys go yard selling right now, is there less yard sales right now because of all this going on too?
Yes, big time. Yeah. And the ones that are out are really bad really ones. That's why you hadn't seen us do more yard sale videos, because there aren't a lot of them. We went to one a while back, which was, oh man, way out in the middle of nowhere. I don't even remember where it was, like East Georgia ish, just out in the middle of the prairie hayfield like type place. You know what I mean? But it ended up being pretty good. That's why I got the back glass for the pinball machine. The girl said, she gave it to him for $5. She said, sweetie, I'll give it to you for $5 if you just save it from being broken. It's gonna get broke here sooner or later. And it was really cool. And they're actually worth a lot of money. I mean, but you got to find the person that needs that back glass for that pinball machine kind of thing.
Wow. Well, that's kind of cool to when people do that, they're like, I just want it to get taken care of, and so then you guys end up finding somebody that'll buy it that actually wants to take care of it. So it's kind of cool in that way.
Well, when you start doing this, like you were talking about the American Pickers, they were always talking about it's kind of like these items are finding their place, and once you start doing this, maybe that's just the way it is because people want to buy the things you have, but you almost start feeling like you are helping these things find the place they're supposed to be in. It's really, really strange like that, because a lot of times you'll find somebody that's looking for the back glass of a playing card pinball machine. That one guy, you know what I mean? And it was about to get broken out in the middle of Georgia somewhere. And it's kind of it's crazy how those two people meet.
Yeah, yeah, over a thing like pinball glass.
Yeah, and these things just find their place, find their places.
Yeah, that's it's amazing to have that kind of happen in a society where everything really gets thrown away. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
because takes and get thrown away. Weekend RVing says you guys are great. Conan Studio
Thanks.
wants to know Iron Maiden or Judas Priest. Which one's better?
Man, that's tough. Iron Maiden.
Oh, and Chasing America and Linda are in here now as well. Hello, guys. Um,
Iron
what?
Maiden had like 1,000 albums, dude.
Oh
You know what I
yeah.
mean? What, Judas Priest have like three? They're okay. That's Iron Maiden. Get out of here.
Well, you got Eddie up to cover all of them too. You know, that's
Yeah.
the thing. Like, that's probably what are some um, things that you know you can pick up? Like, are there certain bands that you know you can pick up that no matter what the condition is, people just love that band or maybe a TV show or something?
Grateful Dead, Pink Floyd does pretty good. Now you would think they wouldn't because you think they were so mass produced, but particularly if you start finding the concerts that even on CD, DVD, if you find the concerts of Grateful Dead 1978 Winter Wonderland, you know what I mean? They weren't as highly produced, but people really want them big time out there. So Grateful Dead LPs, Grateful Dead CDs, definitely any type of vintage t-shirt band, you know, 20 years old or older, single stitch sleeves, made in USA. But yeah, Grateful Dead definitely is probably one of the better ones. But you start getting into albums, man, you can get into like old blues and just very hard to find things that's way beyond my expertise.
Wow, wow. And Coleman Studio, he agrees with your answer about Iron Maiden. So,
Correct.
so does Chasing America. They agree with that as well. Um, what made you guys decide to choose the rig that you're in? Was it just what was available, or did you go through a process of figuring out you wanted that over a trailer?
Man, we went through a
Oh
process.
gosh, we went from wanting a tiny $3,000 camper,
Yeah.
and then after that we was like, nah, and we kept looking and looking.
And it kept going, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, before we knew it, it was a 40-foot motorhome. I'm sitting here looking at the end of it now, and it was like a bowling alley. But it just happened. What happened was, okay, we were going to buy land, buy a $3,000, $2,000 camper, sit it on there, and build a house, a homestead, whatever we'd go do, get solar, all that good stuff. And we looked at $2,000 trailers, and at that time, right now they're hard to get to,
Yeah,
but
they are.
at that time it was even worse. I mean, you that $3,000 was going to get you a really, really stinky bad camper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then we started looking at 6,000. Then it went up and up and up. Before, right when we got to a certain price, we was like, man, we can probably buy an old motorhome. So we kind of started toying with that. And we found this one on Craigslist. And man, the floor plan was perfect. And then it started having stuff like a washer and dryer in it, a generator. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Low, there's 26,000 miles on it. And we was like, you know, and it's more solid, felt more like a home. And
Yeah.
at the time, we're still thinking about parking it on a piece of land and building a house. So all that stuff is kind of what got us here. And again, the floor plan, it was really friendly to having two people in it. Like one can use a toilet while one uses a shower, and you're not in the same room, kind
Right.
of thing. But it had a double door refrigerator. So those kind of things what made it. And it was a boundary. I sold motorhomes for a handful of years, and I knew that these years were really solid years for the Fleetwood Bounders.
Yeah. Yeah. I always when I was younger, going with my dad to the motorhomes, man, that Bounder used to be like the top of the line. That was
Yeah.
that was it back in the day. And I gotta say, like your guys' rig, man, that's I think back to some of the apartments I've lived in my life, and it's better than some of the apartments I lived in. I don't know if you guys are the same way, but
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy when people look at me like we live in a that we live in a dumpster or something. And I'm like, man, my place is nicer than your $600, $700 apartment you got by the mall over there. Like, I don't say that. Yeah, we were parked on the beach a while back with the waves crashing in our face. But I don't say that. I just think it.
Yeah. Well, also that's one of the best parts too is if you have a jerk neighbor, you can always just put it in drive and go somewhere else. You can't really do that in an apartment.
No. Yeah, sometimes I think people just have different. Some people don't understand. I've literally had people be like, "Well, where do you use the bathroom at?" I'm like, "My bathroom, man." They don't understand. A lot of people don't. I guess I take it for granted. I grew up with RVs. Granddaddy always had them and would park them in fishing camps and stuff like that. We'd go out there, but some people, I guess, have never even been in one or even seen the inside of one, so they don't know. They think we're just riding around in these boxes with beds in them and living.
Yeah, my grandparents always had them when I was younger. They would always come once a year to visit us and hang out, and they'd park us. Well, I was the same way. Like for me, when I hear all these, questions, when I started looking at van stuff and everybody's asking these questions, I'm like, that's like that's the easy questions. Like, what you guys are asking the easy questions? I don't know what you're talking about. But have you experienced any times so far that have made you wanna stop traveling?
Nah, man, it makes me just want to do it more and more and more every day. We want to go, like we said, we want to go out west. We really want to do the big loop. You know what I mean? All the way through the south, up through California, Oregon, all that, back across the top and come back down. Yeah. But we want to do it at the right time when like every park getting closed and they don't, have 20 restrictions on you going into this place. And we're going to do it when it's the right time. Right now, we're in a really good spot. We can go, we've got the mountains here. We've got the Atlantic Ocean. We've got the Gulf of Mexico. And we got Alabama over there too, which we'll be in. Actually, that's where we're on the way to now is a kayaking event in Alabama, like right at the Alabama-Florida line, a 5-day kayaking trip.
Nice, and yeah, I mean you're right. Like you'll always, as long as you're happy doing it and stuff, you'll always be able to travel. So why take off? And go out there right now when you're, any of the stuff that you want to look at, you couldn't look at. And then on top of it, for your channel, you're going to want to film it too, and share all that stuff. Have there been times so far? I know, I don't know if you guys had a channel before this channel that you guys have now, and you can let me know if you did, but you haven't been doing this one too long as far as your uploads go. Has there been a time so far that you were happy that you showed somebody something? Like maybe they left a comment, like they couldn't get there, but they were happy to see it or anything like that?
When we went to the fried green tomatoes movie location, I know Beyond Beauty, she was like, she loves that movie. So it made me happy knowing we could show her.
Yeah, I like the movie location ones too, and we don't get a lot of views on those, but those are the ones the things we like the most. And so when we get comments on some of those, we really get a kick out of it. I really like helping people with eBay. We do that. I think really that's the ones that make me really happy when somebody asks a genuine question. I genuinely have helped them on eBay because I mean that's really is the purpose of the channel is to help other folks. I know I hadn't always had money. I mean, sometimes it's $200, $100, $50 is what you're stressing over. And it's so easy. What we do is so easy. We're not trying to sell any type of program, and you could watch all our videos right now and see what we're doing. We show you how to filter it, how eBay tells you what to buy. You don't know what to buy. You look and it catches your eye. You look it up, and it tells you the sales rating, what it'll sell for, what it will, how long it'll take to sell. So the idea that, you know, I know I've sat there and stressed about, man, how am I going to pay my car payment? How am I going to pay my rent? And if I could get somebody to where they can stop stressing over maybe $300 for their kids' Christmas by just going to the thrift store, going to a yard sale or an estate sale, and
with $20 in your pocket.
Literally, I mean, I can't tell you.
Keep flipping it over and over.
I can't tell you how many times I've taken $5 and made $150. Literally, wow. I mean, and I'm talking about, this is not a rare thing. This is like once a week I do this. Yeah, and that's just one, like buying one item. So, and I have to do that. It really is that easy, especially if you've got like Goodwills around you. Then you don't have to depend on yard sales and stuff like that. But independent thrift stores are great. We have a honey hole right now that we will not tell anybody about. But I mean, we get stuff there that is dirt cheap.
So cheap.
I mean, and literally, I have made $150 off of buying something for $2.50 there.
Yeah. Wow. Got a pair of shoes for $2 and sold them for $80.
Yeah, like did that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, I think people think it's just it's too much because of shipping. It's not like it was 10, 15 years ago on eBay. They got easy listing where you just list stuff. Yeah. They do the shipping pretty much for you. Just print a sticker out, slap it on the box, and send it out. If it was hard, we couldn't do it out of a motorhome, you know?
Right, exactly. And it's cool that you guys found a way to do that, and probably both of you being passionate about doing that helps you get along when you're in there. When you guys have times that you don't get along, how do you like, for anybody out there that travels as a couple, how do you guys deal with like creating space for each other when you're not in a big space?
I count to 10 first. Just go for a walk most of the time. But no, we never have problems, do we?
No, except for when you buy something I was looking
at. No, really. I mean, it's about the same it would be if we lived in a 2-bedroom house, you know. But like you said, it'd be probably about the same need to create space in. You know, go take a breather, go walk outside, or go in another room and watch TV, or, you know, stop talking and think and run, just look at your phone, watch YouTube, put on some earphones and think for a second. But you know, I guess it sometimes it may feel a little bit more confining than a 2-bedroom house or a 2-bedroom apartment would, but I really don't think that much more, not too much more. Yeah. And sometimes you're in a place that you'd rather be outside anyway. Start an argument to go outside. Shut up. Go outside. Clunk. There's a mountain.
That's one way to look at it right there. Living the RV local life popped in here, and Lucky Dog Productions moderator popped in here as well. What would you say? Because kind of the way I've heard it, and maybe it's correct, so you can kind of go into depth if it is. But the number one thing when you're doing eBay stuff is the photographs you take.
Is real important, man. Let me tell you.
There are people who put it on the door and take pictures, like chip painted doors.
You know, dirty bathroom, man.
Your bed, and people don't want to see that.
Man, I found this awesome, like 1992 Brave starter poofy jacket, vintage, man. It worth about $70. And so started looking them up to see what they'd be worth. And there was this just lady with just the greasiest hair, looking in this really dirty house with this really dirty starter jacket on. And it was
man.
Obviously nobody's going to buy that. You know what I mean? Or it's going to take a lot longer to sell something like that. So it's really important. You want
good lighting and a white background.
Yeah. You
something solid.
Definitely want good details, and you don't want to try to hide anything in your photos. If there's something wrong with it or a scratch, you want to take more of a picture of that scratch so you don't get that thing sent back to you. If you start trying to hide stuff,
there's no such thing as too many pictures. Well, you can only use 12, but just take as many as you
take all 12.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, when I tried years ago to do it, maybe it's still hard now. Um, what what should you expect when you first start selling on eBay? Because your seller rating goes a lot into what people are willing to pay for on items too, doesn't it?
Well, if you got a good item and it's hard to get, you're gonna get sales. I've done this a couple of times, and we have a few accounts, and one thing you're gonna have is I think they limit you to 20 items at first or something
Yeah.
like that, and then you're gonna have scammers come on. So if you're going to have people come on and try to offer you stuff from different countries. There's a few different scams that everybody knows about on eBay. People will, I don't know what this scam even is though, but people will make you an offer on something. You'll accept the offer. They'll never pay. And sometimes they'll buy something just to give you bad feedback. It's almost like trolls on YouTube, but you get through
Wow,
that really
that's
quick.
crazy though. Just buy something to
Yeah.
leave bad feedback. That's like
Yeah. No kidding, man.
wow, that's like super troll level though. That's because that's coming at a
Yeah.
comment on YouTube. That's somebody paying money.
Yeah,
Just,
yes,
you
man.
know,
That's your livelihood. So you gotta
wow.
really kind of know how to handle it. It's not as bad and it's not like a meteor shower that it sounds like, but that's some of the stuff that does go on, and you get people on. It's like YouTube again though. Most people on there are good people, and they really are good people. It's like a big yard sale. It's different than Amazon in that way. So you're going to start getting feedback from other people that are eBayers that may have bought some of your stuff, or just people that buy from eBay all the time and you shipped out quick and they really like that. I mean, so it builds up really quick. But that's kind of a handful of things you can look for. You can get some, and then auctions. People are always buying auctions and not paying at the end of the auction.
Wow. Wow. So it's almost better to do that instead of like a buy it now price on things than it is to do auctions anymore.
Yeah, the only time we do auctions is when we think we have a piece that we know is rare. We can't find a comparable price on it, so we set kind of a high limit and see if people will just start popping on it. We're pretty good at researching, but sometimes you do that and it's an item that you don't even know what it is, and next thing you know, you got a $900 auction.
Right. Right. That's kind of crazy. Um what has been the one of the funniest stories from something you sold where the person had like a ridiculous expectation of what the picture actually was? Like you looked at the picture after they sent you the email and you were like, did is it the same thing that he was looking at?
I mean, I personally, I don't know how you can't know what the size Nikes you wear. I mean, I've had people order like a pair of Nikes from me and be like, "Hey, I love these shoes, but they're a little too tight." I'm like, who in the United States does not know what size Nikes they wear? You know what I mean? In the
Right.
picture, you got a measuring tape beside them, got the size from every country, the size. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I mean, a lot of time, I think people like I got a pair of King sandals back. The guy put in the eBay return that the item was not as described, and people just do that because they know that they'll get a return no matter what whenever they do that. But I mean, it was the sandals that were in the picture that were the size. I don't know. People, you get a return, just take it and smile. It's part of the game.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
Have there been um, items that you've decided to steer clear from reselling, but it wasn't worth the hassle because of stuff like that?
Oh, that's
Video games.
Yeah, video games are a lot of people do video games.
Can't get but like $3 or $4.
Yeah, the only ones that are worth money are a handful of rare ones, hard to get ones. But you're talking $3, $5, $7. But you see resellers, especially on YouTube, a lot. But this is also because they have a warehouse that they can sit these things in, and they bought they bought 100 of them for $15. And they can sell them for $5, $7, $3 a piece, and of course make a ton of money. But we
Right.
can't take up that kind of space with them, so we steer clear of video games when even if we could get a box of 100 of them for $15, we'd sit there and drool over and be like, man, we'd sit there and think, what can we do with these? What can we, and ultimately we'd leave them behind, and it'd take 2 or 3 days kicking
Right.
ourselves.
Right. Yeah, that's what my buddy was into for a while, was doing the video games. And I guess for a little while there was not very many people on it, and so the people that were making the money, and now everybody's like, let's go and skip mom's basement, because I know my video game system's still down there, and so and then it floods the market with, because people think it's actually more rare than it is until they see how much is in garages and attics and all that.
Like you said, the old Sega cartridges and Nintendo cartridges, those were worth good money up until probably a year and a half ago, and now they're $3 and $4 again for that stuff, because like you said, everybody saw it and then they went and dug them up out of their basement. It's crazy because you see people at yard sales with them, they think they have this golden item and it's sitting in the middle of the yard sale all in this presented manner, and then they want $40 more than what I can order it on eBay, and it's all dirty and nasty sitting there. Some people just have crazy expectations, but at the same time, they'll be selling something that's worth $100 for $1 right beside it. So, not that we're trying to trick anybody or anything. And a lot of if anybody ever asks us, we tell them what we do. We never go into a place and I'm like, I'm buying this $100 robe from my grandmother.
Yeah.
We buy stuff and sell it, and actually we get a lot of business that way, because I have a lady that holds vintage T-shirts for me, because I was honest with her in her store, telling her we're resellers. That's what we do.
Nice. And Melnetti popped in here now as well. On the vintage T-shirt stuff, have there been ones that have surprised you, people have wanted to buy? Like, it was just this ugly shirt and you're like, how did somebody want to buy that thing?
Man, I have one right now that's probably going to go, and I hadn't listed it yet, but I got 2 of them there. There's some type of DC Comics, and it's just got these huge embroidered patches of Spider-Man and this, and then DC Comics over here, and then it's got the banded arms on it. I mean, just gaudy. I forget the name. It's like a special designer brand, and $60 somebody go pay for it, and it's just the ugliest thing you've ever seen. Which actually, and not the vintage T-shirts, but I found a Bugs Bunny Gucci T-shirt one time at the Salvation Army and paid $2 for it, but it was this heavily sequined Bugs Bunny head. It was beautiful. You couldn't even tell how beautiful it was on camera, but I mean, this thing should have been in a museum. It was so beautifully sequined. And it said Gucci, Gucci above it. It was a real Gucci shirt. It retailed for like $1,500.
Wow.
Retailed when this shirt came out for $1,500. But I guess because it was a few years old and they're not like vintage T-shirts, it was only worth about $500.
Wow. And Melnetti says she loves you guys, and she wants your hat. So better look out for her.
It's another one. I found this at the Goodwill bins. I rescued this hat. This is a super rare Patagonia hat, super hard to find. I challenge you to find one.
Oh man! If I ever do, now I'll know. If I see that one, just
you get 50 all day.
Just looking at that hat, you wouldn't think it would be, unless you know what I mean? I would look at that hat and be like, that's some guy's old fishing hat. Why would I?
Yeah.
And so that's probably why you see those, like you get lucky, you're like, and not knowing until you get into that game,
That's kind of how you do it. You run into one, and after you hit that one, it's like tasting some ribs for the first time. Every time you smell ribs after that, you go drool. So every time you see a hat like this, you done hit bingo. So it's almost like having gold fever. I mean, when you get in these places, because you never know what, and it'll be the end of the day. You've been looking all day. Done went to 4 yard sales, 3 Goodwills, and you're ready to give up. And then you find that one. You go to one place and you rack up, and you walk out of there with $1,200 worth of inventory, and you paid $60 for it.
Wow. Well, I tell you, if you guys haven't done it yet, I'd love to see you guys, each of you, go out for a day separately with the camera buy some stuff, come back, and then do a competition to see who makes the most money off of like a set, like 20 or 40 bucks.
We know some resellers that are doing that.
Yeah.
They've done that. Reverend resale. He's done that with his wife before. It's fun to watch for sure. I mean, we know who'd win though.
Oh, see, it's already started right there. Now you're gonna have to do it because her eyes just right there. Woo.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be exciting to see you guys go across the country when you're finally able to, because I'm sure now that you have that knowledge, you're probably gonna find things in other areas that might be rare there that you're able to pick up easier in other areas.
Oh yeah, I'd love to get up north. Those, especially in these towns that are really old, that were the first when America was first being built. You're going to find a lot of old stuff there. Even if you got to pay up for some of it, it's worth it a lot of times.
Where did like when you were a kid, did you love going to garage sales?
Oh man, I loved it. My grandfather would, he was a horse trader. He did this, not a whole real horse trader, but he did the same thing, bought and sold. It's not what he did for a living. He was a, two-time war veteran and had a management company himself, much like myself, But nonetheless, he did that, and we'd go to yard sales, and the flea market was a big thing then. So we had a city flea market where everybody would rent booths from the city flea market, and we could go there. We used to go to these farm auctions and stuff. He bought, old Willis Army Jeeps, and we got to ride around in those all the time. So I did have quite a background in it. And I mean, I watched stuff like the Antique Road Show when it was way before American Pickers. I watched stuff like that all the time. I was always just really interested in it. Anytime, I guess, when you're a kid that wants to buy a new Nintendo cartridge, and you're like, man, that statue's worth $1,000. You're like, man, I can do that. I believe I can find some of those. So
Yeah.
it's just kind of happened that way. I've always been interested in it. Watched the American Pickers. Watched them all the time. And then was when I started seeing it on YouTube, and it was easier to find stuff. I remember the first time I was watching, we were sitting there, I was like, somebody's gonna buy them raggedy old pair of shoes. I was on, and she's like, I guess. And then the guy showed him selling it and shipping them out. I was like, man, I know where a raggedy pair of shoes like that is right now.
Yeah. Once you see that, if it sparks that idea in you, it's easy to get going because you're like, if somebody can do that and make a living at it, I can too. And Melody wants you to paint her rig for her as well.
Rebecca wants some of those painted fingernails she's got those. So
fingernails.
There you go. You can trade. It's a little bit different size of paint job, but I guess you can trade those.
Be a lot of nails.
And Shanna Crab wants to know where you guys are at right now.
We are just westish of Middle Georgia. We are headed towards Geneva, Alabama, to that kayaking trip. Geneva or Geneva?
Geneva.
Geneva or Geneva?
I know if you do that in a video, you will find out in the comments probably pretty.
Yeah, for sure.
And who did you guys start out watching on YouTube as YouTubers that made you decide you wanted to start doing that too?
The eBay or trap? Oh, Harry
Tornado. Doing YouTube, yeah.
Oh yeah, Harry Tornado, definitely. Before that, we were watching a lot of RVers because we were planning on getting them. We started watching a lot of RV renovation videos, which led to the RV Odd Couple and long honeymoon and stuff like that. And when we saw that, we were like, man, that's fun. And that'd be a great way to make, maybe $400 or $500 extra a month, put some gas in the motorhome, keep the gas going, so we could do that too. And what we didn't realize is how many friends you'd make, man, how cool it'd be. We didn't look at it like social media. We thought you'd just be putting out videos. And we started seeing these live chats and really making friends and really talking to people. And that's the fun part of it, man. when we get out to places where we don't have great internet or we're moving so much we can't watch everybody's lives, we literally genuinely like get to missing people. You know what I mean? It's weird.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely, and I'm there with you. Like when I started making videos, the last thing that I thought was going to happen was that I was going to make a bunch of friends out of it too, and so it's
Yeah.
kind of cool to see. Where um, do you see yourself in 5 years with your channel? Where would you like it to be
I hadn't thought that far ahead with it. You know, everybody, I'd like to plan that far ahead, but I think pretty much, you know, the goal everybody else would want to be get monetized, have a few extra dollars coming in. I don't think we'd ever try to think that we could, you know, do nothing but YouTube. But I think what YouTube does for us, what we get the most out of it is it makes us get out there and do stuff a lot of times when sometimes we probably may have not have gotten out there and done it because there's another video that's got to come out. And instead of being like, man, it sure would be nice to sit here and watch Every Which Way But Loose again for the 700th time on this Sunday. But, you know, let's go get the pontoons and go out and go fishing. Or let's go on a hike through the mountains and go ahead and do the video. And then you get there and you're doing it. And you're like, man, why was I ever thinking that Clint Eastwood is good and Every Which Way Loose is good, but why would I be thinking that just sitting in the motorhome in this awesome place in the dark would be better than doing this? So I think that's what we get more out of it than anything. It documents what we've done. You know, everybody says that, but it does. You get to go back. I like going back and looking at our videos. Because we trip out on ourselves. Like, man, you was really stupid looking in that one. Or, man, do you remember that place? That was cool looking. But that's really, I think, what we get most out of it. It gets us out there. And I mean, we wouldn't be going on a 5-day kayaking trip. I mean, if it wasn't for YouTube, because the guy that's doing it is another YouTube channel. His name's Trip Smith. He's got like 50,000. That's gonna be like 300 people here. Yeah. He's got 50,000 subscribers. We started watching him a few months ago. Man, he is a trip. He took a very small skiff all the way from Alabama well into the Gulf of Mexico doing these camping trips down there. He's got a great personality and all that. So he was throwing this event and we saw it and he's like, man, that's a month away. Let's do that. Yeah. So, and that's something we'd never do if it wasn't for YouTube. So I think that's what we're getting the most out of
YouTube. Yeah, it's made me get up and do things, and I'm right there with you. You know, some of those days you just be like, I could just sit here, you know, before you have it, like, but now you're like, well, I want to get a video out, so I gotta get up and do something. And is there times where you have trouble figuring out what you're going to film for that week?
Sometimes, but that's another part of it. If we wouldn't have, it kind of leads into what we just said. If we wouldn't find something to do. You know what I mean? But there are some times where it's really busy. And what's crazy about it, sometimes that makes your best video. Yeah. We did one on our water heater one time, which I did want to do one on the water heater because I think everybody needs to get the water heater we got. We got endless water heater, man. No, water never stops. It's $150.
That's awesome.
Man, everybody's got these 10-gallon water heaters. Look, we did the same thing. Don't feel bad, but you can have a tankless water heater too.
Right.
But that is crazy because sometimes those videos, that was one of our, like, it rocketed it up. Yeah, it was our first one that was like, man, that's crazy. This thing's taking off. I mean, for our numbers.
Yeah. Right. Did that give you a different idea of what was possible when you had one take off like that?
Yeah. You know, but you try another one like it and it don't work. So I think we just like to do what we like to do. We want to, you know, kind of take people along with us real quick on whatever adventure we had, share ourselves with them so maybe they can be on the lookout for the same things and, you know, remind them that if they want to do the same things genuinely, man, we are no different than anybody else. We were doing the same thing everybody else was doing and we stopped. We sold everything, bought a motorhome, and we had to step outside of our comfort zone to get here. But if you want to do this, you can do this. And here are the steps. You go buy an old raggedy motorhome, paint it. If you want to do it and save money and be able to do it realistically, because most people can't go out and buy a $300,000 diesel pusher and then take it to a $75 campground every night. So this is the way we can do it. We can buy one, we can renovate it for, very, very pennies on a dollar for what, and we have, honestly, I really feel like we've got the same motorhome that we've got very low mileage. This 99 Bounder is not that much different than a 2010 Bounder. It just isn't. It's got the same basic everything. So we're really happy with that, and particularly for the money, the comparison of the money.
Yeah.
So if you really want to do this, there's a way to do it. You don't have to buy a motorhome. You can buy a camper. You don't have to do a full body paint job. All this can be customized to your life. eBay can be customized to your life. You don't have to renovate a motorhome. You can still work your job and just get a few extra dollars to get you a vacation. But we want to show people that there's a possible way to do all of this or anything in between.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. And yeah, I'm looking at doing like you did, where I want to spend a little bit more on the rig before I go out with it, so that that part I don't have to worry about as much. And
takes a little bit of stress off, that's for sure.
Yeah, it does a lot. Is there any suggestions that you would make to people of items that they should plan on spending money on right away when they first get out on the road?
Gas, campgrounds and gas, and George, and where we're at, that's one cool thing about going out west. And we probably won't stay too much time in these areas, because at the same place you're going to have a lot of free camping. You're going to have a lot of great thrifting, a lot of great sourcing for stuff to sell on eBay. But we want to go out there and be on some BLM land and stuff like that. Georgia is not, I'm not going to say it's not RV friendly, but it's not cheap RV friendly. There's no thousand trails in Georgia. There's very few around us in our surrounding states. There's no free camping. Well, I wouldn't say there's no free camping. When there is, there's no hookups. And you can't camp in Georgia without hookups. Too hot through the summer. And we got a generator. We could do all that. We could make it work, but it's just as easy just to spend some money on a campground than it is to spend $40 on a generator, running a generator in the middle of nowhere. So, that's something we're looking forward to for sure. Getting out there and getting some different views.
Right. And I won't let you know if they're cannibals or not, but you'll have to watch their latest video to figure out if they are. To figure out if they are for sure. But I'm excited to see that kayaking videos that you have coming out. And what is it that you guys use to film?
Use the iPhone
11 Pro.
Yeah, iPhone 11 Pro. We were using one of those DJI Osmo gimbals, but
it was too much of a hassle.
It was too much of a hassle, honestly. And we looked at other cameras like the Canon Mark X, Mark 3, whatever it was, a little one, G7 Mark, whatever. Anyway, we really started looking at the technical stuff at it, and it wasn't that much better than the iPhone at all. And if it was only in certain aspects. The iPhone had aspects that were better, and we find it easier to not miss stuff instead of trying to carry around all this stuff that you got to get out, and we're holding our phone all the time, so we miss less stuff. I feel like using our phone. I think the camera quality could probably be a little bit better, but we'll cross that road when we get there. This right. We make most of our money off eBay. This right now, everything we do is
right.
Free. It's for fun.
And doing that stuff for a living, you're looking at it like, once we have money coming in from it to reinvest back in it, then it kind of makes more sense to do the camera and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're not going to invest too much in it until it would ever produce something. But of course, just like any other business, if it's something magically start producing an immaculate amount of money, we'd put a lot more into it. But right now, we put a fun amount into it. Is what I think.
Right, for sure. Well, I'm excited to see that. Stick with me for a minute. Everybody else that's here and been here and that's listening later on, thank you for listening today. And you can be like Traveling Salvation, follow their tips on their YouTube page, and you can stop waiting for life to happen and make it happen and get out there and do what you want. So until next time, everybody, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.